trouble with the live streaming, so we'll start in a minute or two, okay? Thank you.
Yes.
You did it, right?
Testing, testing.
Did you hear Mary?
I have it. I think I have it.
Yeah,
You ready?
Okay.
thank you.
We ready?
You're up.
Hi, good evening. Borough of Ramsey, Mayor and Council, regular meeting Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. Due to COVID-19, this meeting is being conducted telephonically. The dial-in number is 425-436-6365, access code 213563. This meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Dillon,
Here.
Councilman Gutwetter,
Here.
Councilman Jones,
Here.
Councilman Kilman,
Councilman Kilman, star six.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Councilman Verdoni,
Here.
Councilman Weber is not able to make it, and Councilwoman Woods.
Here.
Thank you. The flag salute. I'll ask Council President Jones to lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Under
indivisible,
God.
With liberty and justice for all.
Justice.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the rights of all citizens to have advance notice of and to attend all meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting the public is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, notice of this meeting of the Mayor and Council was published in the Legal Ads section of the Bergen Record on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. Notice that this meeting is being held telephonically only was published in the Bergen Record on September 23rd, 2020, and is posted on the Borough website and doors to Borough Hall. And once again, we are live streaming on YouTube this evening. Do we have approval of minutes?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion that the minutes for the work session on September 9th, 2020 be approved.
We have a second. Thank you. Second by Councilwoman Woods. Any comments on the minutes? No? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gutwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilman Verdoni,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. Communications.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion the communications be received and filed.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments on the communications? None? Roll call, please.
Councilman Gutwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilman Verdoni,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to address the governing body, please step up to the microphone or your telephone and give your name, spelling the last name, and address as a courtesy to all present. Please speak in an audible tone and address your comments to the chair. There will be a 5-minute time limit per reduced because of the volume of business on the agenda. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Remember to hit star 6 to unmute your line. Okay, second call for public comment. Star 6 to unmute your line. Okay, third call for public comment. Star 6 to unmute your line. Okay, at this point, since no one has identified themselves to speak, we'll close public comment.
I am identifying myself to speak. I didn't know that the public comment period is happening right now. I thought I just had to unmute right now.
Okay, can you please identify yourself?
But I would, sure. Give me one moment, please. So, good evening. My name is Nicholas Haas, and I have been a resident of Ramsey for 20 years. A few months ago, I founded the Ramsey Alliance for Social Equity. The objective of race is to educate the community about the prevalence of discrimination in our society and the dire consequences it has for marginalized groups. We envision a community in which all people are safe, welcomed, and loved. We would like to see Ramsey be a place where hate has no home. Currently, hate does have a home in Ramsey. Just 2 weeks ago, I was crossing Main Street with my boyfriend. A Ramsey resident drove by and yelled at us, "You people make no sense. Effing faggots." Is that the town Ramsey wants to be? At one of our peaceful social justice protests, a man drove by and shouted, "Fuck you, you fucking N-word lovers." I ask again, is that the town Ramsey wants to be? The hate that I receive in this town as a gay man who advocates for black and brown people is disgusting. The citizens of Ramsey look to their elected officials to lead the way in championing issues that will make Ramsey a better place for all of us to live. I think that having the support of Ramsey's elected officials is an important step in ensuring that Ramsey is a place in which all people are treated equally and with dignity. Myself and the other members of RACE are Ramsey residents and taxpayers. If we bring an issue to your attention, we expect you to at least listen respectfully to our concerns. A couple months ago, I reached out to Mayor Dillon and politely asked her to join us at one of our social justice rallies to make it clear that she represents all members of our community. She did not acknowledge us for weeks. When she did not even address the social justice issues and equality issues we brought up. At our protest, we have seen members of the town council intentionally cross the street to avoid interacting with us. Silence on social justice issues in this political climate, while there is a social justice movement sweeping the nation, is deafening. Silence makes it seem that you do not think Black Lives Matter. Silence makes it seem that you do not think LGBT lives matter. Silence makes it seem that you do not represent and protect the liberties of all Ramsey citizens. Only your action can change those impressions. Mayor Dillon's defense for her inaction has been stating that she started the Ramsey is stigma-free and Ramsey is for everyone initiative. But these initiatives are about mental illness and physical and mental disabilities. Neither address improving the lives of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or LGBT people in Ramsey. I implore you to do more and not forget that as elected officials, you represent all members of this community. I propose the establishment of a diversity and inclusion committee, which I would head, to advise the town council on issues of social justice. Please take that important first step towards making Ramsey safe for all of its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haas. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Please *6 and unmute your phone. Okay, not hearing anyone, we will close public
Hello?
comment. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. This is Janelle Ivory. I live at 43 Arch Street in Ramsey. I'd like to thank you for the chance to speak tonight. I think many of you know me. I've been your neighbor in Ramsey here for over 22 years. I was president of the Tisdale PTO for 3 years, and I was the Ramsey Girl Scout Service Unit Manager for 2 years, and I've also been a member of the Ramsey Public Education Foundation. And I'd like to talk a little bit about RAISE. Just about every Sunday since the beginning of the summer, I've stood with members of the community on Main Street to show support for racial fairness. We're mothers, we're grandmothers, we're college students, and we're all from Ramsey. We stand quietly, we hold signs, and the reactions we get from our neighbors are often very positive. We get the thumbs up, we get drivers honking their horns, We've had local merchants offer us bottles of water on hot days, and we've even had people of color reach out to us privately to say thank you and to encourage us to keep going. But sometimes the reaction is not very positive. I've seen young men who graduated high school with my children lean out of their car windows and flip us off. I've heard an older man tell us the South will rise again, and people have shouted at us not in Ramsey, as if supporting fair treatment for all Americans were something other people ought to be doing but not us. But I don't feel that way. I've been aware of racism and prejudice in Ramsey for years, but because I never wanted to make people uncomfortable or cause trouble, I didn't speak up, and that was a mistake that I won't continue to make. On a recent Sunday, we had a particular group of hecklers, all recent Ramsey graduates, who drove up and down the street in front of us, revving their engine and yelling, and eventually they pulled up and parked in front of us with their engine running. And there were some people in our group who felt very uncomfortable, and one young woman called the Ramsey Police Department. And then 20 minutes later, she called again, and then she called a third time, and it took about 30 minutes for anyone to show up. And once the police arrived, they spoke to the people who were parked by us, and then they left. And this vehicle stayed with us for the entirety of our protest. They followed us down Main Street, they blocked traffic at one point, and they parked where we were stopped, and it was clear to all of us that their intention was to try to intimidate us. And the town's response was disappointing. Earlier in the summer, there were actually armed police and riot gear at the farmers market. But when we requested help, we were put off for about 30 minutes. And, you know, we're residents and we're taxpayers just like everyone else who lives here, and we expect to be treated just like everyone else who would call for assistance in Ramsey because it's our home, as much as it is anyone else who lives in this town and pays taxes in this town. I'd also like to say that I feel that fairness is an American value, and it's a value that we all share. All of us who witnessed the death of George Floyd under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer were shocked and we were sickened. And I think all of us agree that police officers should not be killing unarmed people, no matter what their criminal past may be. And following his death, the outpouring of support for racial fairness was overwhelming. Corporations and individuals all vowed to do better. Towns all over Bergen County have taken action and taken a stand against racism and police brutality. And it's time for Ramsey to do the same, because it's the right thing to do, and it fulfills the promise of America, and it brings to life the American value that people ought to be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We've been standing for racial fairness on Sundays for 4 months, and we have never broken the law. We have never been violent. We are not looters. We are your neighbors, and we live here. And we don't drive up and down Main Street revving our engines, and we don't disturb the customers at Giovanna's or the corner cafe or try to intimidate people who don't agree with us. We don't yell absurd warnings about slavery making a comeback. We're peaceful. We are peaceful. And we want to make our country better, and we want to make Ramsey better. And all of you, Mayor Dillon and all of the members of the Town Council, I know that you believe in the words of the Pledge of Allegiance with liberty and justice for all. And it's time for you to show the world that that is where you stand, and that is where all of us stand. And I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you, Mrs. Ivry.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, at this point, I will close public comment. We don't have any advertised public hearing for final consideration of ordinances. Regarding appointments, I appoint Elizabeth Ivanova to Ramsey Rescue, Tal Regev to Ramsey Rescue, and Matthew Rush to Ramsey Rescue. Can we have the consent resolutions, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that resolutions 149, 2020 through and including 159, 2020, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Ramsey, be and are hereby passed and approved. We have one block party request for Robert Huff of Poplar Street is requesting permission to have a block party on Saturday, October 3rd, 2020 from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Before we have a vote on that, I need to open up Consent Resolution 151-2020 and Consent Resolution 152-2020 regarding renewal of liquor licenses to the public. Is there anyone in the public on the line that would like to speak regarding those two resolutions? Okay, Not hearing anyone, I will ask for a roll call.
I second the motion first.
Thank you. Is there anybody who wants to read any of the resolutions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. This regards Resolution 158, 2020. The mayor and council of the Borough of Ramsey, New Jersey, are concerned that the exclusive mail-in ballot experiment used during the primary election cycle on a small fraction of ballots cast compared to the upcoming general election was difficult at best, and these experiments should not be conducted when selecting individuals to lead political parties, boards of education, and local, county, state, or federal governments. We oppose the exclusive use of mail-in balloting in the general election in November 2020 and all future elections, and urge the Secretary of State and the county clerks to utilize in-person voting in conjunction with mail-in balloting in the upcoming general election and all future elections. A certified true copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the New Jersey Secretary of State, the New Jersey State Governor, State Senate President, Speaker of General Assembly, Bergen County Legislative Delegation, New Jersey Association of Counties, and all boards of chosen freeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any others? If not, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Gottwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Jones.
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilman Verdoni,
Councilman Verdoni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, block party requests? Is over that?
It's a block party request for Robert Puff of Poplar Street. He's requested permission to have a block party on Saturday, October 3rd, 2020, from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
And second.
Roll call?
Councilman Gottwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Jones.
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilman Verdoni,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to committee and liaison reports. Councilman Gottwetter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple topics I'd like to discuss tonight in my report. The first one has to do with Ramsey municipal debt. Ramsey utilizes municipal debt to fund capital investments for infrastructure which have a long useful life. This is similar to a homeowner funding a home purchase with a long-term mortgage rather than paying upfront for an asset that you will utilize over many years. Based on Ramsey's strong municipal finance position, the borough has been able to take advantage of the historically low interest rates. The last bond anticipation notes issued by the borough in June have an net interest rate cost of 0.79%. The net impact after grants are applied is that the level of outstanding municipal debt over the last 5 years has increased a total of $1.6 million. In the last 5 years, Ramsey has utilized debt financing to make the following infrastructure investments and improvements, including new senior center, community center, pool house, and related infrastructure at the municipal pool site, replacement of a 30-year ladder truck for the Ramsey Volunteer Fire Department, replacement of a heavy-duty rescue vehicle for the Volunteer Ramsey Rescue Squad, replacement of a Department of Public Works dump truck, completed Phase 2 of the Main Street streetscape improvements, and completed road surfacing projects for 45 borough roads. It should be noted that the borough has applied for and been awarded $1.47 million in grants to help mitigate the taxpayer costs of these improvements. As a fact, the state of New Jersey sets a debt limit for municipalities at 3.5% of the town's equalized taxable valuation. Ramsey's debt percentage to equalized valuation is 0.357%, or approximately 1/10 of the limit allowed by the state of New Jersey. Another fact is that of the 13 Northwest Bergen towns, Ramsey has the fourth lowest amount of outstanding debt, as well as the fourth lowest percentage to equalized valuation of the 13 towns. Another area that I'd like to discuss is property taxes. Property tax components, the borough serves as a billing and collecting entity for all property taxes. However, the borough, through the municipal budget, only accounts for approximately 20% of total property taxes. The remaining 80% of property taxes are determined by other authorities. Therefore, the Board of Education and County of Bergen. The mayor and council have no role in these components of your property taxes. Below are the percentages each component comprises of the total property tax bill, with the largest component of the Board of Education or school taxes at 69%. Municipal is 20%, county open space is 10%, and library is 1%. The municipal tax rate increases for the last 10 years, which is 2011 through 2020, have been below 2% every year. Another fact is that for the 2020 municipal tax rate increase from 2019 is 1.83%. However, the other components having significantly higher tax increases are the Board of Education at 5.17%, the County of Bergen at 6.05% increase, and the library component increase is 2.94%. Therefore, despite the municipal component increase of below 2%, the total increase to taxpayers is 4.56% and is driven by these other components. The 2020 municipal tax component only comprises 8% of the property tax increase for 2020. The other three components are responsible for 92% of the property tax increase, the Board of Education or the school portion accounting for 78% of the 2020 tax increase, the county is 13%, and the library is 1%. I'd just like to finish my report tonight on a couple of my committees. The Recreation Committee, rec basketball may be canceled or delayed as we're awaiting direction from the Board of Education. A Halloween parade will proceed on October 31st at 10 a.m. from the train station parking lot to the Ramsey High School lawn, and flyers and more information will be forthcoming. As for the library board, Saturday hours will resume this Saturday, September 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., limited to 60 minutes maximum inside the library. Access to tutor.com is up and running with virtual one-on-one tutoring available on over 100 subjects, and the tutors are available from 2 to 9 p.m. daily. And lastly, self-checkout kiosks will be available soon to provide touchless interactions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gutbutter. Does anybody have any comments for Councilman Weber for public safety? No? Okay, then we'll move on. Building, Planning, and Zoning, Councilman Verjoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Planning Board held their regular meeting on September 15th. We reviewed 7 site plan waivers, most of which were office space changes. Of note was that the New York Sports Club has been replaced by the Fountain Fitness Center. The board also extended outdoor dining to November 1st for all approved establishments in accordance with the Executive Order 150. Ramsey Seniors and Senior Center continue to do well with Zoom virtual classes. No major health, lack of food, or other issues have been identified. VFW Post will be conducting their annual poppy sale raising starting October 15th to November 30th. Sales locations include ShopRite, Uncle Giuseppe's, Village Stationers, Bottle King, Little Tito's, Walgreens, Ramsey Gourmet, Ramsey Hardware, Ramsey Post Office, and La Gondola Restaurant. The VFW is providing a lot of opportunities to donate to this worthy cause. Ramsey Responds continue to serve the Ramsey families in need by providing food and financial assistance. While there are some individuals that have been able to go back to work or find jobs, this is not the norm. Even if they have jobs, many face reduced hours. In addition, due to lack of further stimulus payments or enhanced unemployment benefits, we're seeing people falling behind in their financial obligations. Ramsey Responds is stepping in to fill the gaps, helping people pay rent, utilities, etc. In short, the needs and efforts continue. Donations are always needed. Food donations are accepted every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. at St. Paul's Church. And financial donations can be sent to Ramsey Responds, P.O. Box 724, Ramsey, New Jersey. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Utilities, Buildings, and Grounds, Councilman Kilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to use my time this evening to update primarily anyone who may be confused or concerned about the quality of our drinking water, as well as the standards we must legally comply with and the details about the new Ramsey water treatment system being installed to replace the former system that was producing safe drinking water. It appears that after all the information available to the public about this topic, Some people still don't understand the facts that have been presented and are available to any resident in Ramsey who's interested. Just to cite a few sources, Mayor Dillon reported on this project in fall 2019 Ramsey Journal mailed to all homes in Ramsey. The Board of Public Works further reported about this project in detail in the same Ramsey Journal. I have covered different aspects of this topic at various mayor and council meetings. Borough Administrator Bruce Jose has also covered it numerous times at mayor and council work sessions and mayor and council general meetings. And the Board of Public Works has been regularly reporting on this project at their monthly meetings, which is also open to the public for those interested in learning the truth about our water quality and the new water treatment system. Frankly, we have many intelligent, experienced, and very talented professionals who work tirelessly for Ramsey to ensure our water systems are pristine, and they deserve better than to be subjected to a steady stream of misinformation and disparaging innuendo about the work they do for this community. So now I will give my report, and I will also give a copy of this report to Borough Clerk Meredith Bendian to post in today's meeting minutes, along with exhibits I will simply mention in this report for easy access. According to the current website for the Center of Disease Control and Protection, the United States has one of the safest water supplies in the world. If you are among the 286 million Americans who gets your water from a community water system, your tap water is regulated by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Drinking water varies from place to place in our country, depending on the condition of the source water from which it's drawn and the treatment it receives, but it must meet EPA regulations. Finished water, that's water that comes out of your faucet, in Ramsey is tested approximately 800 times a year. Even though U.S. tap water or finished water supplies are considered to be one of the safest in the world, most unfinished water must be treated for some type of contamination. There are many sources of contamination of unfinished water, including sewage releases, naturally occurring chemicals and minerals such as arsenic, radon, and uranium. For example, arsenic is found in natural environment in some abundance in the Earth's crust and in small quantities in rock, soil, water, and air, and it is present in many different minerals. About 1/3 of the arsenic in the atmosphere comes from natural sources. The rest comes from man-made sources, and those man-made sources include local land use practices, fertilizers, pesticides, livestock raising, concentrated feeding operations, manufacturing processes in which result in heavy metals, malfunctioning septic systems. In addition, drinking water that travels through improperly maintained distribution or piping systems may also create an environment for contamination. Now, the EPA sets standards and regulations for the presence and levels of over 90 different contaminants in the public water, drinking water. Information on these contaminants and maximum contaminant levels can be found on the EPA's Drinking Water Contaminants website. In January of 2006, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, lowered its maximum contaminant level, MCL, for arsenic from 50 parts per billion to 10 parts per billion, which is still the EPA's MCL standard today. At that time in 2006, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection lowered its MCL arsenic to 5 parts per billion, or half of the EPA's level. New Jersey's MCL remains at 5 parts per billion and is one of the lowest levels in the country. To continue to provide safe, quality drinking water under these new standards, Ramsey treats well water at some of its production sites and has done so with no water quality sample violations for more than 10 years since treatment systems were implemented. The Ramsey Board of Public Works continues to provide the highest quality drinking water to residents. Now, here's a point of clarification. Ramsey's water is well water drawn from 2 deep, closed, confined aquifers, where anything deposited on the surface rarely, if ever, penetrates rock shelves to reach the aquifer. Unlike surface water reservoirs, which Ramsey does not draw from, they can be affected by pesticides, chemicals, and runoff contaminants more than well water. Therefore, surface water treatment is more involved to help deal with and mitigate MCLs. Ramsey complies with the EPA-established national primary drinking regulations that are legally enforceable primary standards and treatment techniques that apply to public water systems. Primary standards and treatment techniques protect public health by limiting the levels of contaminants in drinking water, and I will attach Exhibit A to this document so you can see the number that are tested for. Additionally, Ramsey monitors the federal and New Jersey secondary drinking water standards, and that will be in Exhibit B. The EPA does not enforce these secondary maximum contaminant levels. They are established as guidelines to assist public water systems in managing their drinking water for aesthetic considerations such as taste, color, and odor. These contaminants are not considered to present a risk to human health at the secondary maximum contaminant levels. The EPA also uses the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule, the UCMR program, to collect nationally representative data for contaminants suspected to be present in drinking water, but as of yet do not have regulatory standards. This monitoring is used by the EPA to understand the frequency and level of occurrence of unregulated contaminants in the national public water systems that we have. Every 5 years, the EPA develops a new list of UCMR contaminants largely based on the contaminant candidate list. Ramsey has and continues to monitor that list and test for those samples. Now, information on our new treatment center. More than a year ago, or a treatment system rather, more than a year ago, Ramsey received notice that the company supporting the current proprietary filter cartridge system used to treat for arsenic was in a matter of months exiting the business as a result of the sale of its company. Ramsey's Board of Public Works at that point had its professionals review and recommend a replacement water treatment system. Their analysis resulted in identifying a state-of-the-art system that was self-contained, prefabricated treatment facility and had it approved by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in record time. So in early 2019, the Board of Public Works introduced a significant capital investment program for this well replacement and reactivation treatment project. Under Ordinance 13-2019, the mayor and council authorized bonds in the amount of $6,525,000 for the anticipated cost of this upfront capital investment. In doing so, a 5-year capital and debt repayment plan, and it was projected that over the next 5 years, the Board of Public Works, with a substantial down payment of $1.2 million, would fund the capital plans and pay down the debt by 2023, similar to 2018 levels. The goal of this project was to enhance as well as increase our water supply. This initial investment covered the prefabrication of 6 water treatment units, 4 of which have been installed and replaced the previous cartridge treatment system for the Martis Avenue, Arrow Road, East Oak Street, and North Central Avenue well sites. In this development phase, Ramsey decided, in addition to arsenic, to proactively design these treatment units to treat water for perfluorinated compounds, PFCs, whose family of compounds are currently being evaluated by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection to determine specific MCL standards to mitigate any possible carcinogenic effect to humans. To that end, depending upon the needs of each Ramsey well site, the treatment units are being installed and readied for both arsenic and PFC's treatment. These units are approximately 50 feet in length, 8 feet wide, and 9.5 feet high. This is because each secure unit contains the following equipment: arsenic treatment vessels, chemical treatment vessels and systems, corrosion control treatment, safety equipment, chemical analyzers, as well as necessary valves and piping to connect the unit to the water supply well. Now, moving on, in March 2020, there was a public hearing and vote on the adoption of Bond Ordinance 03-2020 in the amount of $2.9 million to to complete the funding of the well replacement and reactivation treatment project, with the Board of Public Works providing a down payment of $150,000. This work focused on the site work and installation of the water treatment units at the currently inactive wells of Orchard Place and Spring Street to bring them online. The funding also included aesthetic improvements to the treatment units in residential locations to enhance the visual impact of these units, reflecting the same look and feel as the community senior center architecture, as well as landscaping improvements to reflect the bucolic standards of Ramsey. Additional funding included inspections, professional services, and other fee obligations to the extent permitted and defined by Section 20 of the local bond law related to the successful completion and financing of this project. The fact is, this new state-of-the-art treatment system has an estimated useful life of 40 years, so despite the larger capital investment up front, the project provides significant long-term economic benefits. For instance, in 2020, the Board of Public Works budget has a decrease in operating costs of $730,000 directly related to the move to the new system and reduced arsenic filter cartridge purchases needed for the old treatment system. And there will be a decrease in the purchase price for water for Suez water when Spring Street and Orchard Place wells come back online. These wells have been inactive for 10 years and will now add about 500,000 gallons a day, or a 30% increase to Ramsey's owned water supply sources. These annual operating cost savings versus the current system will continue and only increase over the upcoming years and allow for payback of the capital investment in a time frame significantly less than the useful life of the new system. It provides Ramsey residents with a state-of-the-art water treatment system that provides safe, finished drinking water in full compliance with federal and state EPA and DEP standards and regulations, both today and in the years to come. Thank you, and that is my report.
Thank you, Councilman Kilman. Public and Governmental Relations, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Dillon. Tonight, we welcome our viewers as for the first time out there in YouTube land, we are streaming a council meeting for the first time in a 112-year history of Ramsey. Broadcasting our mayor and council meetings was brought to our attention over the years and had been looked at by some of our staunchest critics. I believe their dreams have come true and their prayers have been answered. And our hope as a governing body as we undertook this project and process over the last few years was to bring about an end once and for all to the questions that have arisen over time that the governing body, who held open and transparent meetings every month here in this room, meetings were neither open nor transparent. So now they're on TV. You will be able to see them live streamed and broadcast, and the facts will speak for themselves. We welcome you to see what we do and how we have always done it, representing and putting the needs of all of our residents first and foremost in our discussions and decisions, and the trust that we have as keepers of the taxpayers' money, albeit the 20% that Councilman Guttwetter spoke of. I would welcome this evening Elizabeth, Tal, and Matthew to our volunteer service organizations. I thank them for their service. The pool season has ended. However, you may notice some activity still at the pool. There's a swim team that has been a renter of the pool services and has provided a $7,000 payment for the month of September, which is recognizing several $1,000s in profit for the pool. As you know, with the limited resources and due to restrictions, the pool numbers were down over previous years. The Ramsey Farmers Market continues every week with their guidelines and rules and continues to be very successful. Ramsey Volunteer Night will be held, our annual tradition, October 28th. We are preparing the final plans for that evening. Our goal is to have it held outside because we usually draw a larger crowd. And our intent would probably be to do it potentially at the site of the community center, pool, and senior center on the grounds there with some options if we have weather. Final determinations, I say, will be finalized. We do have about a month before that happens. There is one matter I would like to address. As those of you who have heard me over the years, when I moved to Ramsey over 22 years ago, was looking in several towns, drove down Main Street and fell in love with Ramsey and never looked anywhere else. Seeing the high school and the presence of the front lawn of the high school and the businesses and the Ramsey movie theater. I think all residents are certainly saddened to hear that the Ramsey movie theater will no longer be open as a direct result of the shutdown and the deeming of it as a non-essential service during the COVID-19 pandemic. In March, the governor ordered the shutdown and the stay-at-home orders. Stay-at-home orders were not lifted until May, so if you were not essential or getting food for yourself or medical attention, you were supposed to stay at home. The misrepresentation of the facts and in some cases people blaming this governing body for the ending of the theater is grossly negligent and just flat out lies. There's no other way to say it. The ownership came and asked for the possibility of a drive-through in April at the site of Retro Fitness. At that time, no one was allowed to be out. The shutdown and stay-at-home order was still in effect. However, an explanation of what needed to be done since it was not zoned for that site, applications that would have had to been made with the hopes of getting an approval to the zoning board. And the ownership at that time chose not to for whatever reasons. When they finally did have a plan in May, the governing body, again, tried to work with offering up the possibility for the use of McFarren Field. The ultimate deal was struck with the Board of Education. The governing body held a special meeting to give the approval, as we have in support of all the businesses that we could throughout this pandemic. So I felt that was highly irresponsible for someone to say we somehow caused this business to fail. This governing body did not order the shutdown, did not order a stay-at-home. We are all under the same rules as the state of New Jersey and Governor Murphy's executive orders. And when presented finally with an application, took swift action and did everything we could to support that, their business as well as all the others. So I just wanted to clear the air on that because it's, at a time when we all need to be together more so than ever, things and people who claim to want peace and harmony use derisiveness to try and tear the community apart, and I've never stood quiet for that. So I just wanted to say that and welcome you all to our meetings, and so hopefully someday we can all be together in the same room again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Health, Education, Social Services, Councilwoman Woods.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Board of Health is promoting free naloxone September 24th to the 26th from the New Jersey Department of Human Services to help combat the opioid crisis. Information can be found on the Board of Health website. The tick resource kit is also available on the website. It is still tick season. The board has been busy with inspections for restaurants with the new COVID rules. The New Jersey census push has been very successful. The census self-response rate is currently at 68.2%, and this surpasses the last three self-reported census data from 1990, 2000, and 2010. If you have not yet completed the census, please go to 2020census.gov. The Ramsey Board of Education will hold their next meeting on Tuesday, September 29th. The schools have been busy getting used to their new schedule, and they've also held all their back-to-school nights. It's been a very busy month. I would encourage you as taxpayers to tune in to their meetings on YouTube. The Design Review Board met last evening and had one application for a sign redo at M&T Bank, so no presentation was necessary. Bob Phelan was presented with a plaque thanking him for his service, not only with the Design Review Board, but for his many years of service on the Library Board and the Senior Bus Committee as well, and Marjorie Simpson was named chairperson. And I would also like to thank the newest Ramsey Rescue members, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, for my remarks, regarding the comments from Mr. Haas and Mrs. Ivry, I just want to let you know that I do not condone, nor do I agree with the actions that you have described that have happened in Ramsey. I certainly do not, and neither does anyone in this chamber. And of course, we are all against the killing of unarmed civilians. The goal of the borough, the mayor and council, and all employees, from the borough administrator to the officers of the Ramsey Police Department and to the DPW workers, are dedicated to treating all residents with dignity and respect, regardless of the color of their skin, race, religion, gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Mr. Haas and Ms. Ivry, if you have concrete steps that you would like the mayor and council to consider, please send them to me by email, and we will consider them. Thank you. Regarding things going on around in town, I want to congratulate Elizabeth, Tal, and Matthew. Thank you for volunteering for the Ramsey Rescue Squad. For vote by mail this year, as I've been mentioning a couple of the Swift Reef messages, is primarily vote by mail for the general election on November 3rd. Please check the borough websites for updates and information. On the front page, there is an election update tab that Ms. Bendian maintains and updates on a regular basis as she receives new information. And just as a reminder, the only people who are allowed to vote in person and use a machine are those who are disabled, blind, or illiterate. If you show up to vote in person on November 3rd and you are not any of those, you will be given a provisional paper ballot. They will not allow you to use the machine. Provisional ballots create a lot of work, and they slow down the final count in the election. So please use the vote by mail. The county has established a secured box behind the Ramsey Free Public Library on Wyckoff Avenue in which to deposit your ballots. The county will be picking up the ballots on a daily basis. Ramsey is hosting another COVID-19 testing site in connection with the county next Wednesday on September 30th. It will be at the Ramsey Main Street train station. There will be COVID-19 testing done by saliva, and also flu shots will be available. The CDC and all public health officials are urging everybody to please get a flu shot this year in light of COVID-19. And there will be priority for people who work in public school, staff, and educators, but they do need to pre-register. There is a flyer with all the information that you need regarding the COVID testing site on the borough website. And tonight, by one of the resolutions, just to let everybody know, the borough has extended the outdoor dining ordinance to December 31st, 2020. I don't know if the restaurants in town will take advantage of it, but I want them to have the option since they are still at only 25% indoor capacity, and perhaps we'll have a mild November and December. And that's all I have. Thank you. Hey, Borough Administrator, Mr. Bozay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No comments.
Thank you. Borough Attorney, Mr. Scandariato.
No report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Borough Clerk, Ms. Bendian.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to reiterate about the borough website and the alerts at the top for the election update. And just to let everybody know, there is a step-by-step video which is done by the Bergen County officials, which will show anyone who is unsure of how to fill out a mail-in ballot exactly what you need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. All right, we have no introduction of ordinances, no unfinished business, no new business. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Have a nice evening. Stay healthy, wash your hands, cover your face, be well.
8:21.
Bye-bye.
Okay?